I'm Misbah, your host,
And I'm Ajbi. I'm also your host.
and welcome to the third episode
Third episode.
of Between Deadlines and Dreams.
Yes. So this episode is called.
Between Friends and the series.
It's a series, exactly.
Yeah.
So what we thought was going to be very fun is that we make this a 3-episode series. So this is Between Friends and Foe, Part 1.
Which is called Peer Pressure and Influences.
Yeah. So how this came into the idea was basically we were in a meeting with our team to discuss what our next episode is going to be, and we thought, okay, let's talk about a topic that we face in our lives, right? That we can relate to. What do we see amongst our peers and our friends? And that's when we realized this. It's so vast. Like
It
teenagehood
is.
is so abstract, and you can't really cover all that issue in
Yeah.
one episode,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, and friends have a huge influence in our school life and our developmental phase, right?
Yep.
So, and that too is an abstract topic. So we
Yes.
made this a 3-part series.
And the first
Yay.
one is here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. Peer pressure
Yeah.
and influences.
So you tell me the definition of
The
peer pressure.
Oxford definition. I'll be the definition girly of the whole podcast. I'll be happy. Oxford definition of peer pressure is the influence from members of one's peer group. Members of a peer group are more likely to influence a person's beliefs, values, religion, and behavior.
Yeah,
So,
that is the definite definition. Okay.
yeah.
But what I feel like is that peer pressure. Oh my god. People talk about it so much. It's so cliche now. We talk about it in every webinar. Life skills teachers talk about it. Counselors talk about it. It doesn't feel like a.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah, the life skill teacher is always like, if your best friend went to a well, jumped, would you follow? Would you?
Maybe if it's you, yeah, maybe
Okay.
that's peer pressure right there. That's peer pressure. So that's the thing. Peer pressure is so much more deep and complex than what teachers tell you on a daily basis. And in this episode, me and Misbah, we've done a deep dive research into what it actually is, the scientific reasons why it happens to us. Right? You don't see adults or children.
Adults also have.
Yeah,
I
but
feel.
we don't see it that
Yeah.
much in them as us. Right? And
Definitely.
what makes it even more worse is this phase is so important in our developmental career of life, and this is when we're going through all these tumultuous hormonal changes and all these problems. So we're gonna go into completely all that.
Yes.
But before we start, do we want to say something? Yes. So for this episode, our location, we are at the amazing Q Nest. A huge shout out to our friend Jordan. I think
It's his dad's cafe.
yes, we talk about Jordan every episode, so it has to kind of become a
We
good thing now.
do. Yeah, every time. Shout out.
So thank you so much to QNS, the management of QNS, for allowing us to film this episode here. So little behind the scenes, but we've been trying to film this episode for so long, and
It's a nightmare.
It's
No,
a
it's not a
nightmare.
nightmare. It's good.
and of course, like our episode, thing, we have our drinks. Do you want to show them?
Oh,
It's a lemonade. It's
a
it's a very
lemonade.
basic lemonade, but we're really happy
It's
to
still
be here.
nice.
It's
Oh
a
my God.
beautiful cafe with a snooker table, and the ambiance is just amazing and top notch. Right. With that said, let's dive into the podcast. The topic for today. Now, staying true to the psychological aspect of our podcast, I thought, okay, fine, science, right? Teenage brain is completely biology, science student.
Science student.
So I watch a few TED talks, and I also to understand why this happens, right?
You did do a lot of research about studies and all, so let's see what she has.
So from my research, this is what I found out. Okay, have you heard of the prefrontal cortex?
The brain.
The brain. It's a very important part of your brain. It's called the prefrontal cortex, right?
It's not developed until 25 years old.
Yes. So
I've heard.
this is the definition. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for executive functions like planning, decision making, problem solving, and impulse control. Right. So everything, your wise decision making, right? All your wise.
Is it
decision-
wise? Is it wise? I never know.
Your wise decision making is completely the job of your prefrontal cortex, and it's not developed in us, means it has not completely developed until the age of 25.
We're
That is,
underdeveloped.
yes, that is also the reason why we take so many risky things in our age, why we easily get influenced by everything around us, right? Because it's not completely developed. And from my little research, I also found out this.
It's scary, her book.
Yeah. Adolescents are prone to take risks. They take more risks than children and adults, and particularly have a tendency to take risks when they're with friends. Maybe
Yeah.
so. Why do you think that when we are with friends, we take more risks?
It's like it's our peers, right? So we need to impress them in a way. So it's like we want to impress our peers. So it's like we override our like actual moral thinking and like our morals in itself. So it's like it overrides, and then we do risky business and all.
Yeah. So um that's also connects me to something else called the limbic system. The limbic system is also a part of your brain, and this is basically your the rewarding feeling, right? When you do that dopamine hit that comes from the limbic system.
It sounds scary.
Yeah. And yeah, the limbic system unfortunately is almost always activated when you're with your friends and your peers.
What do you mean by limbic system? What is limbic system? And like peer pressure also has like positive and negative effects, right? Because like positive peer pressure is like she like has no social anxiety and she like pressurizes me into having no social anxiety. So like it's like that. It's like positive peer pressure. I'm getting out more because of her.
Yeah, the peer pressure is true. So the limbic system definition again. The limbic system is a group of interconnected brain structures that help you regulate your emotions and behavior. And this too, ladies and gentlemen, is not completely developed, right? So this
So
combination of the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, and a lot of science behind it. This is just a very surface level into the teenage brain. It's not completely developed. So this is the reason why
so
we take a lot of decisions, right? And this isn't it's not just connected to peer pressure, it's connected to almost everything we do at this age, right? And so yeah, parents, keep your children alive to the age of 25. Then
yeah.
they're ready for life. Basically, that's how science says it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like rather than worrying about the effects of the children's friendships, like parents would worry about children's friendships, right? And like how peer pressure influences them. Like parents can do well by focusing on creating a good support system, and like they don't have any problem in coming to their parents being like, this guy is pressurizing me into doing something really bad.
Exactly.
Like parents' role is a really big part in parent like children's peer pressure roles. And yeah,
Yeah, she basically summed it up. So I want to ask you, have you what is peer pressure to you? Like, how have you ever like faced peer pressure?
definitely, but I can't think of one at the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's like some friends are going somewhere, and I'm like, I don't want to go there, but then it's like I have to go there because like,
Exactly.
they might think of me weirdly after the fact that I didn't go there with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so what we do is we kind of like in this phase of our life we are trying to understand us as a person, like who are we, who am I, who's Majbeen. We're kind of forming this identity for ourselves, and it's really hard, right? So we kind of use social conformity, which we'll get into pretty soon, right? We fall into groups and people to find that sense of belongingness which we don't find in ourselves, because inside we're completely like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we seek outside to
Yeah.
see to find out validation, right, which we'll also get into.
Yeah, the
More.
desire of belonging is a fundamental human need, right? This need can lead to individuals to conform to group norms even when the conflict with personal beliefs. Studies have shown that social conformity can significantly impact decision making processes, often leading individuals to make choices they wouldn't independently consider. So basically, like, if I don't like what you're doing, like, I will try to do it because, like, it's my need to be loved by you.
Yeah. And that's honestly a very sad thing, because when you think about it, the only person that's going to live your life is you. When
Yeah.
when you allow other people to make these decisions for you, you're giving them the power. You're giving them the power to make decisions in your life. So who's living your life, you or me?
Oh my god.
At the end of the day, it's me.
Uh-huh.
I'm the owner of I'm the creator of my destiny. I am the sailor of my ship.
Are you though?
I am.
Are you though?
That's where peer pressure comes in influence.
Yeah.
So I am the creator of my destiny. I'm the sailor of my ship, and you have to understand the life is coming from you and not at you, and that
yeah.
takes time.
I heard Timothy Chalamet saying that one time.
I did. That's why I'm saying it right now. But it's very important, guys. Life is coming from you and not at you. Because we always think, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? But you have to understand, your emotional response, the response comes from you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one who allows these things to happen to you. But then you tell yourself, well, I'm not the one who did this. This person hurt me. He's the one who's forcing me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But you can that's where your emotional response comes into play, which
Mm-hmm.
we will also get into a little
Emotional
later.
response. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, you deserve to surround yourself with people, supportive people who respect your decisions, not people who pressurize you into doing something that you don't feel right.
Okay, so when I was doing my research, I found out about this psychological phenomenon called social conformity. Okay,
Okay.
it's simple but quite fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be this popular if it wasn't this fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is called the Ash experiment. It was done by Solomon Ash in 1951,
Makes sense.
and it's called the line length experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple, but basically how it worked was in this group study, the participants were given three lines,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they were like lines of different length. So they were said to match the length of the line to the
Mm-hmm.
answer. Like they were given four lines. You know what, we'll put a picture of the experiment, right?
Editing.
Yeah, we'll have the editor put a picture of the experiment, so it'll make more sense, because I feel like when I'm just blabbering, people don't get it. So in this experiment, they were supposed to match the correct length of the line, right?
Uh-huh.
Little did they know that
Mhm.
actually everyone in the experiment were actors.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Okay.
actors, so
Okay.
only one person was the one individual was the actual participant in this whole experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So what they had the actors do is they had the actors lie about the correct answer. So if the correct answer,
Influences.
yes, if the correct answer was for perhaps three, all the actors said one.
Mm-hmm.
Now the goal of this experiment was to understand is that will, in a social setting, will
Mm-hmm.
individuals say the right thing even though they know the others are saying the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
or will they say the wrong thing just for the sake of fitting in? Now
Mm-hmm.
what happened is,
That's
um
interesting. Can I,
unfortunately, I don't know
can I
why.
predict? Can I predict? Sure. He got influenced and he said the same
Yes,
thing.
yes, he got conformed. The feeling was conformed. The sense is that all the actors said the wrong answer,
Mm-hmm.
and just for the sake of
Fitting in.
fitting in,
Mm-hmm.
the participant also said the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
This is called social conformity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fancy word for peer pressure. It's the desire to fit in, right? Now we see this in our daily lives too. For example, sitcoms, right? We all love
Yes.
sitcoms.
Oh my God.
Give me a good
Sorry.
sitcom you love.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Is that a
Brooklyn.
sitcom? Yeah.
It's not. I mean, like, remember the old sitcoms where like you have like
Full
people's
House.
laughter.
Full House.
I haven't
Oh my
seen
God,
Full House,
Full
but
House
I
is
know
great.
though I'm very like basic, bro. I watch Friends.
Okay.
Yeah. So in old sitcoms, what you notice is there's always like this laughter in the background.
Oh my God. And then people are like, oh my God, we have
Yeah.
to laugh with them.
Yes. So this laughter in the background is done. So it kind of gives the people the stimulus to laugh
Uh-huh.
too, right?
Uh-huh.
This is an example of social conformity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we see this in daily life too. For example, this is a very basic
Mm-hmm.
answer, but in class when the teacher asks a question and you know the answer but you don't raise your hand because you see no one else raising your hand, you feel like it's just awkward for me to raise the hand.
Peer pressure is everywhere.
Peer pressure, that is an example of peer pressure,
Oh
right?
my God.
So where you're in a class setting, you know the answer but you know that no one else is raising their hand or answering the question. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't answer it even though you know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example of social conformity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
this leads us to the other psychological term that we want to talk about. It's called cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance is the psychological discomfort experienced when a person holds two or more conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes, or when their actions contradict their beliefs. Okay, so it's like if I have like two, okay, say I'm a Republican and a Democrat, like you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean to put it like a more relatable.
Yeah, Republican Democrat is not relatable enough. Okay.
Yeah. So cognitive dissonance is the example I gave. For example, sitcoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
If okay, I'll give you an example. If you took the laughter out of most sitcoms, none of the things they're saying may sound funny.
Oh my
Could even
gosh.
many of the jokes are sexual too, but they put the laughter to give people a stimulus to laugh. This is an example of cognitive dissonance, right?
Hmm.
Now this leads me on to the next story. I have a small story. Okay, so this story is about Kitty Genovese. Okay, this is psychology 101. It's told in every class around the world.
Hmm.
So it is a story of Kitty Genovese, a woman who was brutally stabbed and raped in New York City in 1964. She was only 28 years old, and this incident took place at a night in a during March. Okay, so what happened was that, like it said, she was brutally stabbed and murdered, but it was said that there were 38 witnesses.
38.
38
That's a bit of a
witnesses,
stretch.
yes, but no one said a word. No one called the police. No one called an ambulance. No one went for help. And why did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why, in the bustling city of New York, the city that never sleeps, not a single person, witness,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to call when they saw this brutal murder of a 28-year-old woman? And that is called the bystander effect, right? Or most popularly known, the Genovese syndrome.
Uh-huh.
It's the effect where people are less likely to help victims if other people are around, right?
Why though? Is it like why?
That's the question. So the hypothesis was that each and every one of them assumed someone else would call the police, right? But here's where it's a bit twisty. In reality, only two people act. It wasn't that 30 witnesses didn't say anything. Among there were among those 30 witnesses, there were two people who did actually call the police and report the incidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then where did this number 38 come from? So it was said that in reality, two people called. There was a guy called Samuel Hoffman. He even spent 3 to 4 minutes on hold before finally reaching a police dispatcher. So again, why 38 people? So this is theorized that the police commissioner actually lied to a reporter about the witnesses that did nothing to cover up why it took the police so long to arrive at the scene of the crime,
What do you
right?
mean? What do
So
you mean?
the police commissioner basically lied because it took the police so long to reach the
Mm-hmm.
crime scene, so they wanted to cover it up. So for that, they said, oh, 38 people were there, and no one called.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to highlight the effect of uncaring New Yorkers who wouldn't even say a word for the brutal murder of a 28-year-old
So they
year old
did
woman.
that on purpose?
Yeah,
That's kinda messed up.
it's kind of
It's
messed
a
up.
very messed up.
It gets worse, right? So you might be asking, okay, so how does this connect to social conformity, right? How the bystander effect is very much different from the social conformity aspect. So this is something called information cascade. Okay, the conformity happened when this news of this woman being murdered and 38 witnesses not saying anything. Okay, this
Mhm.
became like false news, and this news spread around the globe. Okay, newspapers, New York Times, everyone in the
Okay.
newspaper, it was highlighted that 38 witnesses saw, no one did
Mm-hmm.
anything. This headline made headlines everywhere, basically. So not a single one of those reporters
Mm-hmm.
or the journalists took a second chance to go and actually understand if this information they got is true,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is a psychological phenomenon called information cascade. So
Okay.
it's basically where individuals sequentially make the same choice, ignoring their own private info and instead basing their decision of
Such.
those who went before them. Basically, they didn't take two turns to look back to see if this information was correct, and they
Oh.
just base it on the belief, okay, this is what everyone else is saying, so again 38 witnesses, that's social
Oh damn.
conformity. Everyone else is saying 37 witnesses, so
It's like a rumor spread and everyone is like, that's
exactly
true.
so
That's
that's exactly what I wanted to say. This
mm-hmm.
connects to how rumors spread. Okay, obviously this is a very brutal case, right? I wanted to highlight this case because this is psychology 101. We talked
Yeah.
about the bystander effect, the information cascade, and the very famous social conformity experiment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, how do you connect this term social conformity to our daily life, like us in school? Where do you see
Probably
social conformity? You said something about rumors.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, oh my god, it's like the popular people are doing something and something, something, something. And then we're like, we believe that because everyone's saying it. And that's how it's like it has to be true because everyone's saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's probably information cascade. That's literally
This
information.
information cascade.
Yeah.
Tell me how, like, why does that, like, peer pressure, where does it root from? Where does it come from?
Literally anything. Like your parents' role is also a really good part of it. I mean, like I think I talked about it before.
Yeah.
We can. It's like parents have this responsibility of like creating a good support system for their kids, for so they can actually talk to you about peer pressure, and they can talk to you about if someone's telling you your son that you have to do something, and that's something that you don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? You have to have enough courage to go to your parents and be like, that's something is happening at school, and like this guy is telling me to do this and all. I can't do it.
Like Ms. Musa, there's no support system, right? And when parents don't give children the attention they need when they're in their nurturing years as a child growing up, they grow up to be individuals who seek validation.
Self-esteem problems.
Yes. So when people say, "Oh yeah, I just want other people's recognition," in reality, you don't want other people's recognition. You don't want people to dislike you, right? Because let me tell you, it is impossible to be liked by everyone.
Yeah, I
To be
learned that
liked,
the hard way.
hypothetically, if you can be liked by everyone, you are putting yourself as a slave to society, to the people around you. You're giving the power of your life to another individual. So who's going to live your life, them or you? It's your life.
Oh my god.
You-
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is that it is impossible to live in a utopian society where everyone loves you. So the desire for recognition is just another way of saying that I cannot be disliked by anyone. And what people need to be learn is to have the courage to be disliked.
Oh my god, like I would like to talk about a personal experience of mine, because like growing up, like I was tied to the hip with my brother. Like he told me everything about video games and like music and all, and that would be my entire personality.
Okay,
And, like, yeah, like he showed me Alec Benjamin for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's my best artist now. Oh my gosh, he's like, oh, and all. And that was literally the only artist I ever literally heard.
What,
Yeah.
are you still Alec fan?
Not as much. I
Okay.
still hear him here and there. He's like meh right now.
That's would you say that's like a good peer pressure, or was it?
I'd say that because it became my whole personality, it wasn't the greatest peer pressure.
Yeah, I mean, because
social conformity.
you're really attached to your brother.
I'm really attached to my brother. It's no. And like while I was growing up in like 8th, 9th grade, people were like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift is so good. Like this girl is so good. That guy artist is so good. Like that would literally be my entire personality. And
No
like
offense,
I
Taylor
would.
Swift.
Yeah, but like not my style anymore. Like I've realized that it's something that other people like,
Yeah.
and it's not me personally. Like I have written it down. Where
Should
is
we
it?
even start by mentioning K-pop?
Oh my god,
The
gang!
BTS phase. I think it was online time for us, but that was
I did not have a
brutal
K-pop phase.
But I feel like a lot of people around me who loved K-pop, they just got on the bandwagon because other people loved K-pop, right? Because
And
that was a
like-
weird phase.
Really, you had the K-pop phase?
No, I wasn't into K-pop, but I remember like everyone around me. Oh my god, Jungkook, we. If you're still into that stuff, that's fine, right? But I'm talking about the fact that a lot of people just said, "Oh, I love K-pop," just so their friends would think they were cool.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
that I
god.
found so problematic.
I did that. I was like, when people said like I like Taylor Swift, I was like, oh my gosh, you like Taylor Swift? Me too. I love everything about her. And like, thing is, she's fine. She's amazing. But like, that's literally not.
That's
me.
just not your taste.
Yeah. Like literally, I've written personal experience : of how I thought I was losing myself to influences. As in, I didn't have a personality of my own, and all I did was of others and not of myself. Coping well with peer influence is about getting the balance right between being yourself and fitting in with your group.
Oof, that's a lot.
Yeah, like it's like I would like to do the things you tell me to do.
Yeah.
Because like you actually are passionate about it, and like I would like to know what your interests are. That's because I want to like get to know you, right? But then I shouldn't lose myself in the fact like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, I should only do this. Because
Yeah.
that was what I was in like 9th and 10th.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, I would say peer pressure is good to an extent, like you
Yeah,
were saying.
yeah, oh yeah, positive peer pressure. Let's check what it is.
Like in the sense, like we are social beings, right? I'm talking since the time of hunter gatherers. We are social beings. It is our
Hunter-gatherer.
natural, innate instinct for us to connect to other people, right? So the fact that, and even since we are born, we learn how to talk. We learn how to, certain behaviors. Children learn that from their parents, from the people around them, from their TV shows, from Coco Melon.
Oh my
Right?
god, Cocomelon. You have Cocomelon in your
Yeah, I
house
have a
all the
sister,
time.
so I would know personally how it feels.
Yeah.
So we are social beings. There's something wrong with influence. Okay, that's how we develop as a person, right?
Yeah.
But when these things, this influence becomes your core beliefs, that's what you live
Yeah.
by. However, it could be how good it might seem. Then that's when peer pressure becomes wrong.
I would like to talk about positive peer pressure because like I have written it down.
Yeah.
Teens who volunteer in the community can keep each other motivated and to participate. This involvement can lead to exposure to role models and eventually lead to the teens becoming positive role models themselves. See, look at us as examples. In 9th and 10th, I was this sole reason people could not go out. Like I was like social anxiety peak, and like this lady came along.
What do I do?
Literally, social anxiety is scared of you, ma.
I just
Like
Bro.
second episode, we literally went into a restaurant. Was like, "Hi, can we like film here and like give us like sponsorship or something?" And then like, we literally sat there.
yeah,
and
we definitely got sponsorship, by the way.
No, we didn't.
No, but it was so I mean, I've always been an extroverted type of person.
Yeah.
Not that I don't face social anxiety, but yeah, she
Yeah.
has we each have like a huge influence on each other.
Yeah.
For example, there are like specific words or action Misbah does that now I do.
Okay.
Like, I think I've talked about this in the first episode.
I don't. I think it got cut out.
Oh, did it? Okay, she might have cut it out. But basically, what we did is she has this thing that if she's very happy about something or she wants to congratulate someone, she has this, she snaps her fingers. It's just something funny, something silly. But now I've been doing it so much these days.
Really?
It's like a misbah thing.
It's a
Yeah.
misbah thing.
So influence can be so good for you. Okay, it's we develop from influence, but that shouldn't be your core belief.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about this because like maybe like people go to the gym because their friends are going for gym. You know what I'm saying? And then but then when you go to the gym too much or like do like sports which are very like you need a lot of physical energy for it,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it becomes a very unhealthy way of coping. You know what I'm saying? Like
Coping with what?
coping with anything really, like maybe like you're depressed, anxiety is there, like you don't want that to become your like coping mechanism because then it'll just become unhealthy and like you may harm yourself and others in the process, right? So basically what I've written down is as long as the exercise or sport does not become an unhealthy way of coping, excessive to the point of negatively affecting their health or dangerous as in dangerous sports. This also like it doesn't just is confined to sports and gym. It's literally like you can talk about eating disorders at this point.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like you can binge eat just because someone else is like eating and like that just becomes your unhealthy coping mechanism. And then delinquency comes in, like truancy. Truancy is basically you running away from school because like someone else is doing it. Like, oh my god, we had a case. Okay, we're not going to talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it. But like basically it just ranges from like delinquency is basically it just ranges from like unhealthy like behavior, like unruly behavior from a kid, like one goes and then literal criminal behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of negative impacts of peer pressure that people don't realize like are very harmful to one person. Yeah. So what do you think about, let me check. Adults. Do adults have
Adults?
peer pressure?
Ooh, their peer pressure is definitely less. I
Their
would
peer
say, because-
pressure, I feel like it's latent. Like it's like hidden, you know what I'm saying? Because like you don't really see it in like everyday like situations. Like adults, like if like they're having an office party, say, and like some people are like, oh my gosh, drink, and like
yeah.
they're like, oh my gosh, no, and then they take one more shot and then they like,
Reminder, your brain develops not complete developed until the age of 25.
Exactly.
So this still kids till then.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's a fun way to think.
Yeah, adults. There are also typically striving. I'm so sorry that I'm like looking at things because like I have it all written down and it's like really important points. They're also typically striving for social acceptance and are more willing to engage in behaviors against their better judgment to be accepted. However, adults are also vulnerable to peer pressure. Many adults are susceptible to drinking too much because their friends are doing it, or putting work before family because they're competing with other people in their office for promotion. Oh my god.
It's a
Promotion
lot.
and all that.
Yeah, so that's true. It happened, but the main question is why is it more prevalent for people our age?
Because we are literally vulnerable to so many influences, and like we're in school, like we have such a large population of people around us, and people are doing this and all, that and all, going to concerts, doing whatever they want, and like information cascade happens. There are like
Yeah.
rumors spreading, and they're like, oh my gosh, I should do it probably to be cool and to be part of the popular crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it just becomes a part of peer pressure, being like, I have to do that because people are doing it.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking, that these, the stereotype popular people, I would say those people are the most insecure. Obviously, we're not talking about anyone we know in real life, but popular in the sense that this like a natural stereotype for people who are popular. They have a huge friend group. They all go for parties. They all are supposed to look amazing and good looks, and that's their font. That's their original font. But what happens when you are kind of stuck in this people stereotype, right? So what happens then is that you naturally become a people pleaser. You naturally want other people's validation, right? So when that happens is that these cliques or these popular kids at this young age go on to become like very insecure adults. Okay, so I heard this somewhere, okay, and actually, okay, but basically, you know how when we are kids and we don't care what's going on in the world. We're so carefree. We, we sing to our parents the rhymes we learned in school. We don't care about what other people think of us. We embarrass ourselves on a daily basis, but we do we care? No, we don't. Yeah, we're so carefree and we're so full of life. So we're in the spirit of a life where we are trying to understand who are we. Who am I? You're forming an identity for yourself during the adolescence period. So if I have one tip to people listening right now is go back and watch your videos as a child. Go
my
back
God,
and
it
watch
really-
videos
So
as a child.
cringe.
That's the thing. You have to understand that version of you, that carefree version of you, who did not care about what other kids thought about them or what the social media norms are. That is you. And what does it take to bring back that version of you? Okay, so always remind yourself when you're upsetting yourself, when you are berating yourself, when you think bad about yourself, when you are insecure about yourself, and you say, oh my god, why am I like this, why am I this, why am I that? Always remember you're upsetting that small child version of yourself who's so carefree, who loved life so much. Okay,
I remember Kendall Jenner like saying that she put like
I
a
did,
photo,
yes.
like a baby photo on
I
her
do that
mirror.
too. I have
Yeah.
a photo of me as a baby just on my desk, whatever, and I always remind myself, right, when I'm
If I'm berating
demotivated,
myself, it's
yes,
like I'm
you're
berating.
insulting this baby child who loved life so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Stop it, I'll cry.
Yes. So what were you saying?
Yeah, so like we have to be very careful on choosing our crowd, like what is positive peer pressure, what is negative peer pressure. You have to be very careful in choosing your crowd and what they provide for you.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like negative peer pressure, I mean peer pressure is negative in itself. So spending time with friends can be especially like it's helpful for people with anxiety and depression, right? But then people who are very depressed and talk about anxiety all the time, like they always like they feel validated. First of all, they feel validated, they feel understood, and that this person is emotionally close to this to you. Like if I'm depressed, I'll be like talking to you, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, if we're talking too much about depression, too much about anxiety, even though we feel understood and validated, that just turns us into more negative people, because all we are talking about is depression
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
anxiety. So basically, like, that's literally co-rumination. I want to
Yeah.
talk about that. Co-rumination is basically when people get together and talk excessively about everything that's going wrong and how bad they feel. So, like, if I'm talking about the political state of the world, like, is it going good or is it going bad?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's all
Sarcasm.
utopian society. We're all in a happy world.
Yeah, this is a study done by, like, it's the Schwartz Meta studies.
No, big words.
I can't. This is why you're the study girl. Yeah, have shown that depression can also be worsened by certain friendship qualities. Like, friendship qualities being like, we only talk about depression and we only talk about
Yeah.
like the really bad parts of life. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful in picking and choosing what you want to be around and what you want to become in the future. You know what I'm saying?
And
We talked a lot.
you have anything more to add?
No, not really. Just the
No,
fact that
and yeah.
we need to focus on the fact that we have to choose quantity over quality.
Quantity.
No,
Quality over quantity. Yes.
My brain.
She's been
Quality.
yapping for a lot of time. Yeah.
Have I?
Has she? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I want to add to that. Just a small thing, right? We talked about how like friends influence you, but I want to know that you are not just the friends you talk to. You are the books you read, the movies you consume, the
surroundings
music you
you
listen
are.
to, the people you talk to, the YouTube videos you watch, the Instagram reels you like, the Instagram reels you save, right? That is you. You are the culmination of everything around you, right? So choose wisely. Analyze yourself. What is the content I'm consuming? Is it beneficial to me? Is it doing good for me? So that is who you are in culmination. Yeah?
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all, right?
I think we've talked a lot. We've talked
yapped
so
so
much for
much.
so long. But
I need food.
We need food. Because you know what? Me and Misbah, we're gonna go have lunch now, and we're gonna leave you here with a lot of food for thought. Just ruminate on whatever me and Misbah have talked about, all the studies, everything, and I hope you have a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
bye-bye.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to us yap for so long, and I hope you have a great day. And this is Mehrjabeen PV
This is Ms. Bashik.
signing off. Bye bye.